this is my first live for this particular group, and we're just going to take it back to basics. And those of you, so I do know there's a few of you on now that have got yoga experience, and I know there's going to be some of you that are fairly new to the practice. So those of you that are a bit more experienced, you can use this time to spend longer in your postures, exploring your postures, so it'll still be completely productive, but then it gives me an opportunity to break down the basics, so you get the fundamental postures ready for when you start going into the more challenging flows. And everybody's at different stages in yoga, so good morning everyone. Everyone's coming in thick and fast now. So all you need is your mat, and I would recommend, if you are very new to yoga, having a couple of cushions. You might need that extra the extra props, which in yoga practice is completely normal to use props. And if you find anybody who finds it's inaccessible to be on all fours, to sit, even sit on your bottom with your legs crossed, you can sit on a chair and you can focus on moving your body, remaining seated. Morning, Sandy. Right. So I've got my lovely yoga mug here. Let's get down. So we're going to begin our practice in a seated position, sitting on a chair. If you find it's impossible or uncomfortable to sit down on the floor with your legs crossed, take that option. And we just have a few quiet moments here now, once we're seated. You want to make sure both sit bones are connected to either the mat or your prop, or if you're seated in a chair. And go for palms facing up, and you're going to try and bring a little bit of length to your spine. Drawing the elbows in, finding length in the spine. Imagine there's a piece of string coming from the top of your head, from your crown, and there's a gentle lift of that string which is going to elongate your posture. Draw the elbows in and close down the eyes, but if you don't feel comfortable with eyes closed, keep them open, it's absolutely fine. And we're just going to bring attention to the breath before we start moving. And for those of you that are wondering, why are we sat here just breathing? Remember the importance of your breath, how it is indeed your breath keeping you alive. Just go for basic breath, elongated inhale and exhale. Victorious breath, it's also called. And it just gives you an opportunity to prepare for your session. Gives you an opportunity to remove any distractions, to become present in your space. I want you to start to fill your belly. So on your inhale, visualize a Buddha, and really fill and expand your belly with air. And as you exhale, notice how everything grounds and sinks. Just keep going with that. On your inhale, see if you can expand the sides of the ribs. A little bit of movement. First of all, without your shoulders leaning forwards, elongate the spine and gently bring your chin towards your chest. And if you're new, you are going to rely on looking at the screen a lot more. But the more you practice with us, the more you will get to know our different cues, and you'll be less reliant on visuals to take part in your practice. So if you do feel like you have to watch a lot, that's okay. Just feel that gentle stretch at the back of your neck. Inhale and gently bring yourself back to centre. Fingertips down and bring your arms all the way up. Give me namaste, hands behind at the top of your head. And hands down to centre. I'm just going to do that a few times. So, creating big spaces with the arms. Namaste, hands come down to centre. One more. Big inhale. So just bringing a bit of movement and breath together. And then fingertips down and gently take a side bend. Keeping both sit bones down. Creating space down the side of your body. See if you can roll that shoulder open a little bit more. And then come down other side. So stretching down the side of the body. Come to centre, fingertips behind you, draw the navel in and lift the chest, squeezing the shoulder blades, the blades, so you can get an opening through the chest. And then we're just going to go the opposite way. Interlace the fingers, suck the navel in towards the spine, lengthen the arms gently, and press the backs of your hands towards me. And you're taking your spine in the opposite direction. Inhale, come to centre. So we're going to come over to a tabletop position, and I'm going to talk you through some of the fundamentals. Like I said, those of you that are quite practiced, you can explore progressions and just spend more time focusing on breath work this morning. It's a nice opportunity to focus on breathing through your postures Saturday morning. So we're taking a tabletop position, so those, I want you to be in an untucked toes position. This is tucked, this is untucked. You want to check the heels of the hands are in line with the shoulders, and anybody who's remaining seated on a chair, you can focus on moving your body seated. I'm going to lift the tailbone, elbows draw in and lift the chest and the eye gaze forwards. Notice what the back of the neck is doing. You don't want to compress the neck. This is your cow. No, this is your, yeah, it is cow stretch. And send the hips back, and you might find a little bit more stretch in the hips. And then you go in the opposite way. So drawing the navel towards the spine, lengthening the arms. And this is your cat stretch. So a bit of spine mobility here. And now you are free to go from cat into cow at your own speed, or you may want to just hold your posture. So see what you can feel. So what you want to do as a new practitioner to yoga is just explore. Neutral spine. And now we're going to extend the left leg. And you want to, my feet have kind of come off the screen there, but toes are pointing down. So you're driving away through that back leg, toes point down. And anybody who feels that this is enough because removing one hand you might topple over, you stay here, or right arm comes forward, palm facing in. This is called bird dog. It's an opportunity to explore balance, a moderate balance, and alignment. And alignment's very important in your yoga practice. So actually doing something that looks quite simple, as you take the time to stretch and elongate your body, it actually switches on a lot of muscles. Exhale, come down at the side, right leg, left arm. Draw the navel towards the spine. Exhale, come down. I'm going to do that again. Bird dog. It's a great opportunity to wake the body up. Notice if you're feeling a bit sluggish, and then you can just work on lengthening here. Exhale, come down. Other side. A common mistake in yoga practice, come back to tabletop everyone, is to dump weight in the wrists. So I would recommend pressing your fingertips into the mat to prevent that. We're going to take our knees wide, bring our toes together, big toes together, and then send our bottom back, walking the arms forwards, taking a child's pose. And just see how you feel. Anybody who feels a bit restricted here, you can use a prop for your head, you can stack your hands. There's loads of options to make you feel more comfortable. And if you just kind of tilt your pelvis, move your pelvis side to side, you should find different variants of a hip stretch. It's gentle though. Slide your hands back towards your shoulders, come into tabletop position, neutral spine, and we're going to come up into downward facing dog. And anybody who finds downward facing dogs a bit too tricky, go back to child's pose or continue cat-cow spine mobility. Press the fingertips into the mat, that takes away the pressure in the joint, and if you're active through your claws, so to speak, you engage muscles round here. If you don't, it just ends up dumping into the wrist. Tuck toes and flow your body up. Come a bit further forward so I'm cut off the screen. So you can keep a slight bend in the knees. Trying to straighten the legs out will take away that sharpness of your inversion. And you want to try and lengthen the arms and lengthen the spine. An easier option is to go wider with your feet. Hip distance feet, or a little bit wider if you need it. And you can pedal that dog if you want, or you can hold still, or a nice one is just to sway those hips gently side to side. And everyone, I want you to bend your knees and really send your tummy towards your thighs. And then lower down, wide knees, big toes meet, taking a child's pose. Stretch those arms out in front of you, or another option you can try is bringing your feet closer together and having your arms down by your side. So take whichever option you want. You've just got a few moments in your child's pose now. So focusing on your breathing, exploring a bit more movement, just move side to side a little bit. And then when you're ready, start to peel yourself up, back to tabletop position, and then we're coming up to downward facing dog. So part of the challenge when you're new to yoga is your transitions from one posture to the next. It's not going to be one simple step, and that's part of the learning, that's part of your practice. So don't be disappointed if you feel it takes several steps to get from one posture to the next. And I'm a teacher, and quite often I need 10 adjustments to get from one posture to the next, and that's completely fine. So you shouldn't spend time comparing yourself to anyone else, and just flow, just let your body move as it can move and as it wants to move. Lower the knees down, and then carefully step your left foot in between the hands, untucking the back toe, bringing your eye gaze up. Now some of you might find that's too hard, so you can come here with blocks. And you want to check that your knee and heel alignment. Untuck the back toes. And we're going to come up into a low lunge, and those that feel a bit more supple can sink into the hips a little bit. Back toes are untucked, if you can see that. Yeah, you can. And then flow up, arms along the ears, eye gaze forwards. Now I am actively using this foot to stabilise me and using these muscles in this leg to feel balanced. So just see if you can track that front knee open a bit more. So if you want a bit more back bend, regular practitioners, you can just start to pull those arms back. Otherwise, if you're new, you can just press your palms together above your head. So you can take a little bit more back bend. And then release. So that's a low lunge. Tuck the back toes. Like I said, transitions might be 10 little adjustments to get from one to the other. because it's unrealistic to expect to do everything in one step. So pick up the knee and take a few hops and then find yourself in a forward fold. So an easier way to fold is to have your feet hip distance, or if you need more space, a little bit wider. Progression is to have your feet closer together. And you want to try and put the back of the hands on the mat. If that's too much for you, you've got your props. And in the first thing in the morning, a fold might feel quite tough anyway. You might feel a bit tight and sluggish. So you want to make sure that the weight is going down through the legs, grounding through the feet into the mat. Resist the temptation to drop your weight into your shoulders. Progression, anybody who wants it, is hands around the back of the ankles and sucking the navel in, trying to fold your body closer, or you can just stay with me. And now we're going to find a flat back. So walk your hands up the shins and start to lengthen the arms, the spine and the legs. And you want to try and keep your shoulders and your hips in line. Option is to use a prop. Flat back is an opportunity to get more stretch in the hamstrings. Now, I have not locked my legs out. You should never lock your joints out. Take a few breaths here, feel the depth of that stretch, and if it's too tight, bend the knees a little bit more. Take a deep breath in, we're folding back forwards, and then we're coming all the way up with a strong inhale so your back stays safe. I recommend you lift your eye gaze and drop your bottom a bit lower, and then come up, strong legs, all the way to the top. Draw the navel to the spine, press your palms together. See how you feel about bringing your feet closer together too. So we're just going to take an easy side bend. Bring your feet and thighs together. If pressing your palms together above your head is too much, you can open your arms slightly. Navel to the spine, and we're just going to ensure our chest is lifted first. Our glutes, which is our muscles in our bottom, are switched on, and we're active in our legs, and start to bend over to the left. That bend to the left comes from your upper body. If you feel it in your lower back, you need to come back to centre, and we'll work on progressing that over the week. So I'm with you every Saturday morning. Inhale, come to centre. Exhale, over to the right with that side bend. So you want to try and feel the stretch down the left side of your body, supported with strong legs. Inhale, come to centre, and exhale, circle, come all the way down to your forward fold. Now, we're just going to take a simple step back. Those that are within their practice, you can take a vinyasa here. Otherwise, I'm going to take a step back, and then another step back, simply back to tabletop, where you can go for some cat-cow. And those that are doing their vinyasa, you can meet now. Everybody inhale back to downward facing dog. Pedal or keep still. Like I said, if a downward facing dog is too strong for you, then you can just stay in tabletop position and do cat-cow. Lower to the knees, and then you're going to carefully step the right foot forwards. Framing the foot, bringing those bricks to give you more height if you need it. Sink into the hips, untuck the back toes, and then we're going to flow up to our low lunge. Arms along the ears, you can press your hands together above your head if you want to, but this morning I'm choosing to have my arms open and focus more on sinking through that back leg. Remember, your yoga practice is an exploration. It's never forcing your body into postures. So you can explore postures, even the tricky ones, but don't force. Sometimes you need to just take the little learning, the stepping stones in order to progress anyway. Ease out, frame, tuck the back toes, picking up the knee, remembering little steps or one step if that's right for you. We're taking a forward fold. Wider feet is easier. Feet together is your progression.
Suck the navel in to give yourself as much space as possible to fold forwards. Let the weight of your head and shoulders help assist with the fold progression. Anybody who wants it, feet together, holding around the back of the ankles, using that grip to get some leverage to fold further, or stay with me. Eye gaze is through the knees. And then we're going to just gently walk those hands up the shins, finding flat back, which is picking up the head and shoulders, shoulders and hips in line, length in the spine, length in the arms, length in the legs, and it's a stronger stretch with the back of the legs, but if it's too much, you just bend, lower the bottom a little bit. Eye gaze comes higher. So your eye gaze, your drishti, needs to be where your heart is directed. So if you think about your heart chakra, your heart, your chest, your eye gaze, general rule is to follow that. Exhale, fold, lower the bottom, strong legs to keep your back safe, and then up we come. Arms above the head, progression, feet together, thighs together, taking extended mountain pose. You might want to stay here. If you've got any concerns about side bending, if it's your first year of the practice, don't side bend today. We're going to inhale and lengthen through the arms. Try and keep your arms in line with your ears, bend over to the left. Inhale to center, exhale and over to the right. Side bend, stretching down the side of the body. Come to center, open those arms and just exhale, fold. Taking a vinyasa if it's within your practice, otherwise beginners, we're going to step back and find tabletop. Then we're going to come to our forearms, sliding the legs away to find a baby cobra. Untuck the toes, making sure you're squeezing glutes. Hands down to the side of the face, tuck toes, push to the knees. Everybody's to meet now in downward facing dog. And pedal the dog, or hold still, or sway, or simply go back to cat-cow. Then we are going to lower to our knees, wide knees, big toes meet and sink down and back. Walk the arms forwards and bring your forehead down to a prop or to the mat and take a few breaths in child's pose. Give yourselves an opportunity just to connect with your breath while you're here in your child's pose. Slowing your breathing down. Notice the ease of being in child's pose as well. So there's different benefits with every posture. And then when you're ready, we'll meet back into tabletop. And it's a gentle place to be here, tabletop. And I want you to just visualise a pencil, or a string round your waist and a pencil dangling down from where your belly button is. And I want you to just draw little circles. And then, making sure your knees are at least hip distance. Nobody's knees should be touching together. See how you feel about going further forward. So regular yogis, you might feel like you can take your body weight a bit further, but if you're new to yoga, it's too strong in the shoulders. So we need to build shoulder strength and work on shoulder stability before going into transitioning all the way forward. Now guys, back to table, and you're just going to draw circles, sending your body the other way. So you might feel more confident on one side than you do on the other. That's normal as well. And then start to go bigger with those circles, exploring a little bit more movement, noticing those points that are on the mat, claws on the mat as well to keep your shoulders safe. Not everybody's going to come as far forward as me because it might be too strong in the shoulders. Back to neutral spine. We're We're going to flow up to downward facing dog. Anybody who doesn't want to do downward facing dog, you can go back to these bird dogs, you can go back to cat cow, you can go to child's pose. Otherwise we're flowing up to down dog. And we're going to keep our right foot on the mat. Staying here is completely fine. Otherwise, we're going to lift the left leg and take a 3-leg dog. So you've now gone to 3 points on the mat. You might manage it for a few seconds, a few breaths. You might be able to hold it for longer, and that's okay. So the more you practice, the more you will find it comfortable here. Then we're going to curl that foot, point the toes, and start to open that left knee to open the hips and then square back down. Now, step, I would recommend holding the back of the foot to come into a warrior one. So you're turning the back foot out. So I've gone from here, turning that foot, I'm going to show you again. From here, turning that foot out. Planting my weight equally in both feet, flowing up. Staying low lunge, back knee down as we did before if you need to. See if you can pull those arms further back. So notice how there's lots of options for you, and then you'll have a day where you want to take it further. And those that are very well practiced, you're working on depth, you're working on range, you're working on breath. And those that are newer, you're just finding your feet. We're going to frame, step in and forward fold. Suck the navel to the spine and just see how you feel. Do you feel like you've got a little bit closer? Can you get the backs of the hands to the mat? Inhale, flat back. Exhale and fold. Lower bottom all the way up. Bring the feet and thighs together if you can. Exhale, fold. Taking a vinyasa here, otherwise we're just taking our basic step back, modifying into tabletop, down to the forearms, sliding away into baby cobra. I'll demonstrate cobra for those who want it, but you wouldn't force. Okay, slide your hands back, everybody meet in downward facing dog. Left foot stays on the mat with a slight bend, and then inhale and elevate the right leg nice and high, 3-leg dog. You might manage a couple of breaths, you might not want to do it, or you might be happy to stay here, working on lifting that heel as high as you can. Curl the foot to the opposite butt cheek and start to open your right knee to improve and explore flexibility in the hips. Square round. Then we're going to step that foot halfway in, assist, bring that foot forwards. Then you're going to turn this foot out. I'll show you again. From here, out. I'll show you again. Down, out. Grounding through both feet first. Find your balance. Flow up. Warrior one. Those that are practice, you're working on depth. You're working on alignment, range and breath. And those that are new, you're just finding your feet. If arms here are too much, you can bring them low and just work on alignment. We're going to frame, turn the back foot to face forwards, step and fold. Find that length down the neck, eye gaze through the knees. Now, careful transition, inhale and lift to flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up, extended mountain pose. Bring your feet and your thighs together. Inhale, exhale, fold. Get ready for your vinyasa if you're regular to yoga, otherwise we're just going to take a step back and find find that tabletop position. See how you feel from your tabletop position, finding a plank or a half plank. Lowering down, cobra or baby cobra. Exhale, release, tuck toes, meeting everybody back to downward facing dog. Pedal the dog. Spend a moment here, just asking yourself, what is it you're finding difficult? What is it you're enjoying? What is it that you're struggling to get to grips with? Bring yourself down to your knees, untuck the toes, sink down and back forehead down, and breathe. And relax. And notice how much easier a child's pose feels compared to the previous exercises or the combination of the exercises. And I've been taking regressions, but just the constant movement and talking is keeping my heart rate quite moderately elevated. And if you're feeling anxious and stressed and like, oh, I'm struggling with this, try and let that go while you're here in your resting posture. Because the more tense and the more anxious you are while you practice, the more you're going to struggle with it and the more your body will resist. So you need to then use your breath to distract. As long as you're keeping your movements safe and your body safe, bring more breath to your practice and more mindfulness to your practice. Now, come back to tabletop position. We're going to take a puppy pose here. We're going to untuck toes. Maybe watch me first. Those who don't know, if you know what puppy pose is, take yourself into it. You want your tailbone high, but you want to try and keep your alignment here. So child's pose, we went all the way back. We're not doing that for this one. We're going to lower the chest down. But to make that not feel like a tricep press up, we're just going to bring the arms forwards and then try and bring the head through. Now it is very strong, that stretch around here, down here. You might be faced with the challenge of feeling a bit too tight for that stretch. So if that does feel like it's too tight, just send your bottom back a bit more so there's more through the legs and less through the arms. But you're trying to achieve a back bend, melting your chest towards the heart and opening of the upper back. Now initially at the start of my yoga practice, stay here guys and just explore that further. I'm going to take a few breaths here. At the start of my yoga practice, I actually found this one to be quite tough for me across my shoulders. I've always been quite tight in my shoulders. But now, with regular practice, I can come into that fine. You can use props. You could bring cushions and blocks under your chest to make you feel a bit more secure in that one. Your exit from this needs to be safe, so just slowly bring your hands backwards. You'll find a tabletop again. And then find a cat stretch as a counter. So you've gone from a back bend in your puppy pose, and we're going into a back bend in cat stretch. Really suck the navel towards the spine. And then neutral spine. Now I want you to scoop your legs and bring yourselves onto your back. So we're going to do a few postures on our backs before we go into relaxation, just so I'm not bombarding you with lots of information if you're new today. So you want to have your knees and hips in line and go for palms. We'll go for palms facing down actually, so we'll take a little hip bridge. But before we come into our hip bridge, I want you to notice the points that are on the mat. So notice your feet, your pelvis, your hands, your forearms, elbows, your shoulders, your head, your upper back. You might not feel your lower back because it will naturally curve up slightly. and that's what happens in a neutral spine position. I'm going to inhale using the hands, pressing the hands down without force, pressing the feet down for stability, and lift the bottom of the floor into a hip bridge. So you're feeling like you're switched on in all your leg muscles, your abs are switched on as well. Walk your shoulder blades in. Progression is to interlace the fingers and actively drive your knuckles down towards your heels, feeling the muscles in the arms and shoulders switch on, but that might be too tight, so you're just open with the hands. Squeeze the glutes. Exhale, lower down. And then I want you to bring your left knee in and just elbows in, drive that knee towards you, and then stretch your right leg out. This is a nice hip stretch, but the toes on that long leg are pointing up, so I'm active through that leg, but I'm relaxed in this one as I pull in. You can circle if you want to, or just hold still. Gentle stretching, waking up the body, and then bring that foot down, round the right leg, elongate the left, flex the toes of that left leg, and start to draw in. Now you don't need to be harsh here. And then bring those legs to me. And we're going to open our arms out across the floor to take a supine twist. Now, if you have got restricted space, you can take your arms into this position if you haven't got space to stretch out. And what you're going to do is drop your knees to the left, have a gap between the knees if you want to, and look down the right arm for a supine twist. Progression, stack the knees on top of each other, or you can bring that knee over and put your hand on. So those that are practiced in this posture, take the progressions if you need them. Think about pelvis stability to come back to centre, and then exhale and go the other way, looking down the left arm, so you're looking in the opposite direction to the knees. You don't want that either arm to be higher than shoulder height. You might start to feel a gentle stretch in your lower back, and this is a twist that you're performing here. Progression, as I said, is to take that top leg over, which will stack your hips on top of each other, giving you more range. That might be too deep. Inhale, come to centre, and then we will counter that stretch by having your left hand on the left knee, right hand on the right knee, and just rock side to side. See if you can find, if it's comfortable for you, those pressure points in your lower back. And then bring the feet down. And then I want you to slide your legs away. So we're going to take a Shavasana. I want you to be laid on your back. Feel free to turn down lights, to put a cushion under your head. Feel free to grab a blanket, so you can always leave your mat to gather the right props you need for Shavasana. Put socks on if you want to. And lie on your back, and I want you to be feet corner to corner, arms down by your side, palms facing up. And like I said, feel free to grab props and blankets. And we're just going to go into Shavasana, into a little bit of relaxation. Bring your attention to your breath.
And just notice your body on the mat. Bring your attention to your face. And I want you to just scrunch the eyes, move the jaw, move the nose. Just let your face soften. And then you're going to take that to your shoulders. So just give your shoulders a little wiggle on the mat. Just let your shoulders soften down. And take that down the arms. Notice on your inhale how your chest lifts, and on your exhale how your shoulders and your arms melt towards the mat. And that sensation there is called grounding. Notice your pelvis. Notice your legs, allowing those thighs all the way down to the feet, the toes. Allow your legs to soften. And you want to be feeling as light and as rested as you possibly can on your mat. So think about when you're in your warrior one, your forward folds, your downward facing dog, when you're actively working to hold your body and align your body in your postures. In Shavasana, you're just working on being rested. Slowing that breath down, finding extension in both inhale and exhale. And when you're ready, start to find a bit of movement in your fingers and in your toes. And gently hug those knees in towards your chest. And in your own time, start to bring yourselves to a seated position. Your legs do not have to be crossed. They can be stretched out. They can be to the side, whatever feels right for you. Once you're seated, find that length in the spine. Keep the eyes closed, but if they've opened, it doesn't matter. Finding that length in the spine. Noticing if your chest drops forwards. So visualize that string, and that string being pulled gently above your crown to elongate your body. Finding more space. Think of your postures as an opportunity to find space. And then press your palms together to your heart space. Bring your hands to your third eye, so up towards the forehead. And we'll finish there. Namaste. Have a lovely Saturday and thank you so much for joining me this morning. So hopefully you'll play this back, especially those that are new, and then you'll feel a bit more confident with postures and going on to different flows and stuff. So thanks very much guys for joining me.